Police are searching for a retired Air Force general who vanished in New Mexico. William McCasland went missing last month. Members of Congress are warning this could be a national security issue. The general was involved with the Pentagon's most advanced aerospace research. He oversaw a classified space weapons program. McCasland was in charge of the Air Force Research Lab at a base in Ohio. It's rumored that base holds extraterrestrial debris from the Roswell crash site.
What's going on, YouTube? It's your Huckleberry here, back with another rabbit hole video. I like doing these conspiracy rabbit hole videos, history or whatnot things. We did John Bonet a couple times. We did Tupac. We even did Aaliyah. Actually, the Tupac was a series of videos. We got to talk about these scientists.
This is the list, and we're going to go through all 9 of these scientists.
So yeah, I don't know anything about it, just kind of except for the fact that it's been 9 of them gone missing, all that worked in certain fields for the government, space, technology or NASA or something. This is really messed up, guys, and it doesn't need to be swept under the rug. So, it got up to like 4 or 5, and, that's just not a coincidence. But now it's at 9, and that's something really messed up about it. So, yeah, I found this one video this one YouTuber's doing talking about the 9. It's about a 30-minute video, and I found a lot of small clips from mainstream media talking about a few of them. So I've kind of strung these together so we can go into a big, long format rabbit hole together. So let's just get on with it because this might take a little bit of time. But look, listen, trust me, you're going to want to watch this.
Authorities on the Greek island of Crete say a missing American scientist has been found dead in what's being called a criminal act. An autopsy determined Suzanne Eaton had been suffocated. Greek media reports say police found her body in a cave on Monday, about 6 miles from where she was last seen. Eaton was in Crete attending a conference. Colleagues say they believe she had gone running on July 2nd, the day she disappeared. Eaton grew up in Armonk and graduated from Byram Hills High School.
The passing of yet another NASA scientist.
Okay, so that sounds like that was last year. Let's see what this one's about.
Scientist has resurfaced as the list of chilling disappearances and mysterious deaths of those with ties to America's.
Now, she was suffocated. I don't know if we caught that.
Space and nuclear secrets grows longer. The disturbing cases have since sent internet sleuths into a frenzy, searching for answers about the unsettling pattern. Here's what to know.
Okay, so I don't see her on this list at all.
Michael David Hicks, who worked at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Flint Ridge, California, as a research assistant, passed away at the age of 59 in July of 2023. However, there's no public cause of death or autopsy.
Okay, so we're going back a couple years here. Still, I don't care if we go back 5 years. These are suspicious deaths, and they worked in the same general field of technology. That within itself can't be a coincidence.
For Hicks' passing, nor any mention of how he died in his obituary, although it does ask for donations in his memory to go to Alcoholics Anonymous. Hicks's death is just one in a web of concerning deaths and disappearances of NASA scientists and individuals with ties to U.S. space secrets. 3 other scientists.
Oh, wait, this dude's missing. I saw dead, missing. Oh, this dude's missing too.
3 other scientists with ties to NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab, or JPL, have either gone missing or died over the past few years, even as recently as February. On February 16, 2026, renowned astrophysicist Carl Grillmeyer, who worked on NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope, was suddenly and shockingly shot dead on the porch of his home in California. His shooter, Freddie Snyder, was arrested and is currently in jail. However, a clear motive has yet to be established. Another researcher at NASA's JPL, Frank Mywald, died in July 2024 at the age of 61. Like Hicks, there's little to no public information about how he died. JPL's former newly appointed director of its materials processing group, Monica Reza, mysteriously went missing in June of 2025 while hiking with friends in the Angeles National Forest in California and hasn't been seen since.
Okay,
Reza's research in
I heard about her, I think. She's the one that was hiking on a trail with two of her friends. She was 30 feet behind them. They turned around and she waved at them, and they hiked up just a little bit further, and they turned around and gone, and she was completely gone. And all they found was like her hat or something that was on the trail. Wow.
Material science was funded by the Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patterson Base in Ohio, which is long rumored to hold extraterrestrial debris tied to the famous 1947 Roswell crash. The Air Force Research Lab was headed up by retired Air Force General William McCaslin, who also has shockingly gone missing. McCaslin mysteriously vanished on February 27, 2026 from his Albuquerque, New Mexico home, along with a pair of hiking boots and a .38 caliber revolver. McCaslin was also the former research commander at Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico, which works closely on national security projects with Los Alamos National Laboratory, famous for developing nuclear weapons during the Manhattan Project. In June of 2025, two workers from Los Alamos, Anthony Chavez and Melissa Casillas, vanished from their homes in eerily similar circumstances. Chavez, age 79, was last seen leaving his New Mexico home on foot, leaving behind his car, wallet, phone, and keys. Casillas, age 54, was last seen on camera walking alone on a highway, also without her wallet, phone, or keys, after telling family members she would be working from home, Dateline reported. As of now, no federal agency has publicly acknowledged any connection between.
Why would you walk away without your phone, wallet, or keys? It's almost like you wanted it to be a mystery. You knew that you were going to go missing. Maybe there's something. Maybe they're not all dead, guys. Maybe. I mean, if we're going to go complete conspiracy, I'm just going to throw this out there. You leave behind that stuff because you know you're about to go missing. And nobody wants to die. You're not going out there to die. You're either going into like some kind of witness protection or covert, or dare I say, given what you're working on or the technology that you're around, you're doing something like maybe you're working in space or with some kind of terrestrial extra, or maybe you've like time jumped, or maybe you know, like there's a lot of crazy possibilities. I mean, I'm already convinced that like we've already had some like merger of some like multiverses here, you know, with the Mandela effect starting up around the time of CERN. So there's no limit to where my mind can go, but you don't just disappear like that and coincidentally leave all that stuff behind. That's very bizarre.
In these cases, but skeptics and believers alike are asking the same question. When does a pattern stop simply being a coincidence?
Yep.
It looks like we have something very sinister and dark ongoing here in America, with many scientists going missing or being found dead all within the past year. And this is a lot when you've got 9 top-level scientists.
So this guy's talking about the past year. Now we know that it went back to 2023 with the one guy. So if it goes back that far, but this guy's saying 9 in a year, maybe ultimately the number's a lot higher.
Scientists involved, it raises a lot of questions. Now, all these seem to be connected into the aerospace technology sector, UFOs, hidden or secret tech, things that are very sensitive in nature, especially when it comes to the defense of this country. So we start off with some names here you may not recognize or may not have heard of, like Monica Reza. She worked in NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. She was the co-inventor of Mondaloy, a special alloy used with rocket engines. What's crazy about this is she was like 30 feet behind the people she was hiking with, and she vanished. An extensive search turned up only a beanie and some lip balm, and she was gone, vanished. They never found a body. Then you have Melissa Casillas, that you see right here. She went missing just a couple days later.
Whoa.
She was working on a project with General William Neil McCaslin. He was the commander of the AFRL. And she goes missing, and they don't know what happened there. Then you've got the story here of Jacob Pritchard, Jamie Pritchard, and this other first lieutenant, Jamie Gustius. Apparently, they're saying that this man killed everybody, killed these two, and then killed himself. People saying the story doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense
What?
as to why he would do everything that they're saying that he did. There was no motive, anything like that. But they were all connected into Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and their secret programs.
Fiance, Air Force operation. Jacob allegedly killed his wife, Jamie, and placed her body in the trash, it looks like, of the apartment. Fatally shot her around 2 a.m. He then drove to West Milton Municipal Building, opened the committed suicide by gunshot in the parking lot.
Then you've got Carl here. I covered this in a separate story. He was shot dead on his front porch in California. He was connected to all kinds of research with deep space, the detection of water signatures in other planets, and all that good stuff. Somebody decided he had to be silenced as well. Then you've got William McCaslin. He's caught most of the attention. He vanished, disappeared. He took off with a gun, his boots, and his wallet, but left his glasses and everything else behind. They put out a silver alert on this.
So he left his stuff too.
He was tied deep into all the UFO stuff. I mean, he had one of the highest ranks out of all these people. He too missing still at this very moment. They've not recovered a body or got any clue what's going on. And then Nuno Luriero. He was shot dead in Massachusetts. He was a plasma physicist that also had information tied into all this technology, UFOs, and everything that they want to keep secret. All of these people are missing or dead.
So one good conspiracy theory that is somewhat believable is that all these people had something to do with some kind of technology that would benefit humanity in the world with power, like energy power. And where do we get most of our energy now? Through like oils and fossil fuels and the electrical and all that. So think about if somebody created like free power or like really cheap sustainable power, like all the huge corporations that would go under and become pointless or useless. So there's a huge motive by the power elites, pun intended there, the energy power elites, to put the kibosh on any new technology that would render them useless. So I would tend to believe that for the most part for the confirmed kills. Now the people that went missing, that's a little bit more suspicious, especially the ones that left behind their stuff and then cognitively went on a hike or something. That's really bizarre. But I mean, we heard about the guy back in I'm sure you heard about the guy back in the late 70s that like created a way to like run automobiles off of water or something, and he had like some technology and he ends up dead and his technology ends up missing, confiscated, never to be seen again. You guys, it's not out of the realm. You think about it, you think, oh, no. You gotta believe that these things are possible. These people will do anything to like stay in power and to keep the money rolling, dude. They don't care about what humanity looks like in 100 years. They're living in the now, bro. Yeah, so that's my leaning theory right now, is like, especially for these confirmed deaths, is like there was some kind of connection to the power companies in energy, in oil and gas and things like that.
So I would say, yes, something seems to be going on here.
Definitely.
Will we ever get the answers? I don't know, but this is more than just one or two people. This is now a long list that people need to be aware of, and we need to
Yes.
keep our eyes peeled for any more that happen from here. Something's
There's
going on,
more.
that's for sure.
Police are searching for a retired Air Force general who vanished in New Mexico. William McCaslin went missing last month. Members of Congress are warning this could be a national security issue. The general was involved with the Pentagon's most advanced aerospace research. He oversaw a classified space weapons program. McCaslin was in charge of the Air Force Research Lab at a base in Ohio. It's rumored that base holds extraterrestrial debris from the Roswell crash site. The general was tied in with the UFO community. A source told the New York Post the general was a gatekeeper for anything UFO related in the Air Force. He retired due to mental fog, but investigators say he's still highly intelligent and capable. McCaslin was an avid hiker. His wife last saw him leaving with a backpack and a .38 revolver. No phone, no glasses. He disappeared 6 days right after Trump announced.
Look, so yeah, you go hiking out in the West, you carry something that would help you against, well, when I lived in Montana, it would help you against bears or anything, but if he's in Arizona, he's probably more worried about cougars. But yeah, that's why you're carrying. You don't think, oh, that guy went out there to hike and off himself. They're trying to mention the weapon, but like that's for protection against, things that'll eat you alive.
He disappeared 6 days right after Trump announced he was releasing the UFO files. And he's not the only one.
What?
8 months before the general vanished, a rocket scientist who worked under him years ago also went missing. She was hiking in California with 2 other people. They saw her smiling and waving 30 feet behind them. When they turned back again, she was gone, vanished in plain sight. They searched for days and couldn't find any trace of her.
That could be the weirdest one.
This is a very, very strange situation.
Very strange. They're all weird, but like she was with people when it happened. That's what's extreme. That's like your out the top, over the top abduction theory kind of stuff, like beam me up, Scotty kind of things. Like that's really bizarre.
Days before the general disappeared, another scientist was shot dead on his porch. Carl Grillmar was known for discovering signs of water on a distant planet.
Now, who would benefit the most? Yes, energy and whatnot, but let's think about what countries really, like, this could be like an international thing. This might not be like, BP or Chevron. This could be like Iran or, some kind of Middle East conglomerate where, those, like, before oil was discovered out there, they were just like ragged, has-been, no money. And then you have countries like Saudi Arabia that just have all these sheiks that'll buy and spend money on anything, and they're just so loaded. So you got to think a little bit outside the box here, guys, and not just think like, this is some specific corporation. This could be like regions or countries or something involved in this.
He was gunned down in California. Freddie Snyder was later charged with his murder. He has a rap sheet, but was let out of jail by a Newsom-appointed judge weeks before he allegedly killed the scientist.
What? Why you gotta wrap Gavin in on this? So Gavin appoints a judge that lets this guy go, just like all these Democrats are letting these criminals go. But this particular cat goes and kills a scientist 2 weeks later. Something smells fishy there, guys, for sure. Wow.
Still don't know his motive. And we don't know if these cases are even connected. But
yeah, they're
this
connected.
many top scientists getting killed or going missing in just under a year looks like a major red flag.
Yeah.
Chris Swecker is a former assistant FBI director. Chris, the mind goes right to a foreign intelligence service. Is that where your gut tells you this is going towards?
Well, yeah, it is, Jesse. I mean, I understand the UFO angle has a lot of interest, and people love to kind of dabble in that area with their theories. But if you look at these two, they were both involved in very, very sensitive rocket propulsion programs associated with missiles and space travel. And there was one particular piece of technology, a certain type of metal that really liberated us from having to rely on Russian Soviet technology back in the day. So it's really sensitive stuff, and I'm not a big believer in coincidences. So, you know, if I were heading up the FBI field office or the FBI right now, I would have a full team on this one just to make sure. I mean, I'd look at everything, dissect their lives, and just see if there's any connection to some hostile foreign intelligence service. They want that information. They've been working to get it for years and years. You know, India, Pakistan, even some of our friends are trying to get that type of technology from us, and they'd stop at nothing to get it.
Yeah, we did hear reports that the UFOs that were recovered are being exploited to, I guess, take advantage of whatever technology that's so advanced so we could apply that to our military. And there's kind of an arms race. You know, who could ramp up this UFO technology the fastest? Would that be a motive, and also a financial motive too?
Well, I mean, the motivation to get your hands on that technology cuts both ways. You know, they would like to socially engineer their way into it, get it that way, get it through some sort of other methods that they use, are getting into our military bases with plants, and in some cases they'll compromise a scientist, and that, you know, that can lead to problem. Of course, to lead to problems. But he left with a .38 caliber weapon and a backpack and no wallet, no phone. So you wonder what he was really up to here. You know, did he anticipate not coming back? No wallet, no phone.
The gun isn't suspicious. The no wallet, no phone on half of these people that went missing, that's what's suspicious.
Yeah, have you ever heard of situations where foreign scientists are abducted and then, you know, tortured for intelligence?
Yeah, there are examples of that. Most of them we haven't heard about. They're classified. But you know, the Israelis have done this with the nuclear scientists with hostile services that they've been very proactive in that area. We've taken a few of them out. That they have, maybe with our assistance, maybe not. And it wouldn't be the first time. It happened during World War II. We were targeting German scientists. They were targeting ours. And that's where that whole, you know, the whole aura around espionage sort of sprung up. You know, all the James Bond stuff around nuclear propulsion, space travel, you know, all of the weaponry that can come out of that through missile technology.
And you're ruling out this was an alien abduction. You're ruling that out? I'm not sure if you're a believer, Chris.
I'm not going to go there, Jesse. You know, that's I'll leave that to the people that love to delve in that area.
Right, we're going to leave that to other people. We just we hope we can crack this case. It's serious stuff. Chris, thank you as always.
Welcome to the Pipeline Podcast. Tonight we're looking.
All right, guys. So here we go with an extended video. Oh, look, this guy's got the same thing hanging in the background. So yeah, this is a different YouTuber. I've never heard of him. I've never seen him before, but he's put together all 9 of them on the same video. Oh, look, I'm covering him up. Let's go to the other side here. I'm always jumping back and forth. Should be interesting to have it laid out with all 9 of them together. I was just trying to do a little warm up before we got to this video, but here's the main attraction.
Into the mysterious disappearances or deaths of 9 U.S. scientists. If you're on the main stream, not the vertical stream, we're keeping count, so we have a little counter here. It says suspicious or non-suspicious. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of these 9 scientists that died or gone missing, try to take a deep dive into each 9 of them individually, and make a decision ourselves. Do these look suspicious? Is there something bigger here going on? Or is this not a suspicious death? Because what happens with lists like these is, sure, a couple of these people might have died under mysterious circumstances, but you'll get like media sources like the Daily Mail that throw in other people that died just to make the list a little bit bigger. We've seen that with the like Clinton death list. We've covered that on the channel. That was a pretty good one. But you know, there's like 50 people that mysteriously died that were in the Clinton sphere. But if you look into them, they're not all mysterious deaths. So again, that's what we're doing tonight with these 9 U.S. scientists. And I got a little list here. This is the list, and we're going to go through all 9 of these scientists, starting with Michael David Hicks. And he died in 2023. This Daily Mail article does go over all 9 of them, so we're going to use it as like a starting off point, just because it's one of the only sources that has all 9 of these scientists. So here's a picture of him here. Michael David Hicks was a research scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. They'll refer to that in a lot of these articles as the JPL. And he died in 2023. At the age of 59, the cause of death was never made public, which will make it hard for us to get a decision. Do we think his death is suspicious or not? And there's no record of an autopsy being performed. So let's see what we can find on this guy, Michael David Hicks. He worked at JPL as an...
He was the one with the donation that went to Alcoholics Anonymous. So I don't know if that was supposed to throw us off track or make us think that, you know, he like drank himself to death or, you know, got drunk and did something stupid. But I feel like that's a misdirect.
NASA postdoc and then a research scientist up until 2022. He was born in Ohio, went to Boston University, and got a PhD at University of Arizona. His research specialty was the physical properties of comets and asteroids, and he served on science teams of the DART project, the Near Earth Asteroid Tracking Project, the Dawn mission, NASA Deep Space One mission, and he had 80 peer-reviewed papers. And then this doesn't really talk about how he died. Let's try to find that. So this article is saying there's a former FBI official and politicians have expressed concern that foreign agents could target American scientists with critical expertise. And NASA has not provided a response to any of these 9 scientists. But again, this doesn't really say anything fishy happened with specifically Michael David Hicks' death, but we'll
He said no record of an autopsy. That's kind of bizarre. You wouldn't have a record of that.
keep looking for a little bit. That's what we're doing tonight. We're getting into all of these 9 scientists. The police found no signs of foul play, and that's really all it says about it. So far, this one's not looking suspicious. We've seen one article that says the police did not find any foul play. Alright, this might be his obituary. But I believe it says here, or it said in one of the other articles, his obituary doesn't cover how he died, which sucks. Michael David Hicks. There's a David Michael Hicks in the Guantanamo files, but it's a different guy. Okay, so this is the oldest death on our list. So he died in 2023. There's not so much information on Michael David Hicks. We can confirm that he did die, but we can't confirm that it was under suspicious circumstances or anything like that. So,
I mean, I would say the non-record of an autopsy within itself is suspicious. So I feel like he's about to miscategorize this. I mean, why would there not be an autopsy or a record of one? That alone is a red flag.
oh, he's our first scientist, and we gotta do this little counter. We have to put it as non-suspicious because there's nothing suspicious about his death. There really isn't any information at all about his death.
No, I disagree with that.
And you know, that's kind of how you got to do things. Next is Frank Maywald. He died in 2024, and he was another JPL researcher. So let's look into him. Frank Maywald is a longtime co-worker of Michael Hicks, the first guy that we covered.
Oh,
And
wow.
we deemed the first guy's death unsuspicious, but if it turns out that these two both died around the same time within a year, and they closely worked together, that might change our suspicion on Michael Hicks.
For real,
So Frank
dude.
Maywald, let's see if it says anything else about him. He died at 61 in 2024. And there was even less public acknowledgement of his passing. That sucks. Okay, let's see what we can find somewhere else. Yeah, I just see him in a lot of articles that are grouping him in with the other scientists that also died. Here's an obituary. It's definitely him. But again, it doesn't say how he died. Okay, here we got Tim Burchett. He's been all over this stuff. We talked about him a little bit last week. He was talking about these scientists that have either died or gone missing. Okay, he's talking about Frank Myvold a little bit. He did die on Independence Day, which is fun. That adds to the conspiracy a little bit. And he was the senior technical manager at JPL, building NASA's next generation of orbital surveillance instruments. And the first guy, Michael Hicks, also worked at JPL. Like, keep that in mind. They were co-workers. No cause of death, no press release, no memorial. Okay, so the only thing that makes his death suspicious is that he worked with the first guy. So these two guys both died without really any press going on or like given out as to like how they died, other than like.
First person, cause of death not publicly disclosed. No record of an autopsy. Second person, no public cause of death reported. A tad bit less suspicious in that specific angle, but like saying, the fact that they worked together is very strange, and they died within a year of each other. So I would immediately, if like I said, I already had the first one based on the autopsy in suspicious, but he should probably move that now.
One police statement for Michael David Hicks that said the cause of death didn't look suspicious. So if we wanted to rank both of these deaths as suspicious, we would have to say the only reason we think something fishy is going on is because they worked together and they died within about a year of each other. That's really all we have to go off, because you do have to group these two together. So we'll just say it's a coincidence, unfortunately. But let's dig deeper.
Okay, I'll give him that.
Number 3, Anthony Chavez. This Twitter post was talking about him a little bit.
He's leaning
so
towards
he worked
the
at Los
non-conspiracy
Alamos.
angle.
Wallet, keys, cigarettes on the table, car locked in the driveway. Cadaver dogs found nothing. He vanished 6 weeks before Monica Reza. Nobody is reporting on his disappearance. Okay, so this guy's not dead. It looks like he's one of the scientists that have disappeared. Missing as of May 4th, 2025. Okay, so it's saying Anthony Chavez and Melissa Casius went missing within weeks of each other. And they both worked at Los Alamos National Laboratory. And they vanished in their homes under nearly identical circumstances. So Chavez retired in 2017, and he was seen leaving his home on foot in New Mexico without his keys, car, wallet, or phone. Okay, yeah, so this one is suspicious because it's not like he just died of like allegedly natural causes. Like, this guy just got up, left, and was never seen again. So who knows what happened there? But yes, you have to count that as suspicious. He's still a missing person. No one knows what happened to him yet. And then we have Monica Reza. She went missing June 22nd, 2025. So about a year ago. And she disappeared while hiking. And I believe she was hiking with friends, if I remember that correctly. So Monica Reza, she also worked at the JPL where the first two guys worked.
With her friends.
So Michael David Hicks and Frank Myvold, along with Monica Reza, all worked for the Jet Propulsion Lab, which is like run by NASA in, I believe, California.
So she also worked for JPL.
She vanished without a trace in June 2025, just months after beginning her work at the NASA lab. Okay, here we go. We got a Reddit post, full investigation into the Monica Reza disappearance on Mount Waterman, partially sourced from this subreddit. It's like a Substack article. Yeah, let's check this out. A lot of information on her. The first 3, not so much information. But Monica Reza, there's a lot more sources on her, so this is good. She waved at our hiking companion from 30 feet away, then ceased to exist. 8 months later, so did the general who funded her work, so another person that worked at that JPL building. That would be the fourth person that would have died or gone missing,
Dude.
but we'll wait. We're going to focus on Monica Riza right now. Monica Jacinto Riza. She was 60 years old, hiking in the Angeles National Forest. At first they thought she just got lost due to rugged terrain, and she co-invented Mondaloy. She co-invented a super alloy aerojet rocketdyne, which qualifies for high-performance rocket engines. So she made some kind of material for rockets. It's a nickel-based super alloy, and she held the patent for it. And she started working for NASA's
What?
JPL in 2023. So that's that lab that she worked at. It was the NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. And then 8 months
And so where's the patent go? Like who gets control of the patent now? That's the question.
later, another guy mysteriously disappeared out of that laboratory. And it looks like this article's trying to link it to the Soviets because that patent she had for Mondaloy made it so the Russians, whatever alloy they were using was like obsolete, and she controlled the patent for it. Okay, here it talks about some independent
Cool.
investigators. Yeah, and she just vanished on a ridge near it's pretty close to a highway as well,
411,
which makes you
101.
think because it's like if she fell and like hurt herself, I mean that's a possibility, but they would have found her body by now. And if she got lost, she would just go to the highway, right?
Yeah, she's not an
And
idiot.
just get
She's
picked
a
up and be like,
scientist.
hey,
She's a
I
little
need help, I
rocket
got lost.
scientist.
Or maybe she went to someone took her to the highway and that's how like she was abducted, potentially, you know? And they searched like this whole area looking for her. They found one piece of physical evidence. Just her beanie is what they found. They used like tracking dogs, but they lost the scent eventually. And they
Found her
think
lip gloss,
an
too.
animal or something transported the beanie there due to there not being a lot of wind and the scent being lost. And the train was steep, but not steep enough to be fatal if you fell. And she still hasn't been found.
Wait,
Okay,
where-
and Riza,
Tra-
they found one piece of physical evidence.
Approximately 24 hours after the disappearance, a beanie belonging to Reza was found on a steep ravine south of the ridge, descending towards Devil's Canyon. Scent dogs tracked Reza's trail up a ridge downward successfully followed. They think a bird? No, bro. What? A beanie's not getting caught in the wind unless it's freaking high velocity wind, which there was none. Why would a bird grab the beanie? Nah, dog. Not believing that.
Just her beanie is what they found. They used like tracking dogs, but they lost the scent eventually. And they think an animal or something transported the beanie there
Maybe a coyote?
due to there not being a lot of wind and the scent being lost. And the train was steep, but not steep enough to be fatal if you fell. And she still hasn't been found. Okay, and Riza was a client of some kind of outdoor excursion tour guide named Yogi, and this is potentially a suspect. His post-disappearance behavior drew scrutiny, and they're saying that Yogi was looking for this missing hiker, this missing NASA scientist, very aggressively. And some people are saying it's probably because he's building an alibi. Some people don't trust him. From what I've read, I would imagine if she
That
disappeared,
was
it
somebody
wasn't
that he was a friend of hers, and he was like trying to find out what happened.
Yogi that like took her. It would have been like someone else, you know, like some kind of foreign agents or something like that, you know?
Man, that guy wouldn't have been able to
Not
pull
the
it
tour
off.
guide. Okay,
Yeah.
I was just trying to get all the information on it, even though I already made a decision. This disappearance, it most definitely is suspicious, especially because, you know, she went missing, she's still missing. Like, hikers go missing all the time, but they usually, you know, dead or alive, they'll get found. This lady was never found. She also went missing in a national park near a highway, so if you were trying to kidnap her, that would be a pretty good spot. So Monica Reza, suspicious. So we're 2-2, even though you could put all of these deaths and missing people as suspicious. We're just going off of the sources that we can find. And of the 4 we've covered, 2 of them we couldn't find any kind of sources where there's any police statement or any kind of investigation or anybody saying the deaths were suspicious. So we're 2-2 right now. Next on our list is Melissa Cassius. And we were reading about her a little bit. She worked, I believe, with Anthony Chavez. Let's check it out. Yes, so she worked with Anthony Chavez at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. And she also vanished from her home in 2025 under nearly identical circumstances as Anthony Chavez. She left on foot, left her car keys, wallet, and phone. And let's see what else we can find about her. Okay, so this Reddit post is saying she forgot her work ID and is supposed to work from home. She's last seen a few hours later walking along a highway. Where did she go? Okay, so this person also went missing near a highway, and she's still missing. She went missing at the age of 53 in Talpa, New Mexico, and she lived in Rancho de Taos, and she was married for 20 years, and they lived with their daughter, their adult daughter. So Melissa was just an administrative assistant, so she wasn't like, like a super accredited scientist or anything. This is just describing her, but it's not really talking about her death yet, or her disappearance. Okay, here we go. Disappearance. She was last seen on the 26th of June, 2025. She dropped off her husband at the laboratory for his shift at 6:15 a.m., but she forgot her ID badge, so she went home to work remotely. Mark told her, that's her husband, that he was going to need the car at 11 a.m., and Melissa said that she'll bring it back at that time. And Mark said he didn't think anything was out of the ordinary with that conversation. Sierra, the daughter, she woke up at 7:30 a.m. and said that Melissa came home at about 7:45, and then Sierra left for work. And then at 11 a.m., Melissa didn't bring the car to Mark, so Mark just assumed she was busy. But then Melissa's boss called Mark to check up on Melissa. So Mark said, yeah, she should be at work, working at home remotely, but Melissa's boss said, no, like she hasn't been working at all. So at 12:30 p.m., this is about an hour later, Melissa picked up lunch for Sierra at a Subway store and drove it to a cafe where Sierra worked. The two talked briefly between 12:50 and 12:57. Sierra gave Melissa a check to drop off at the bank for her. Sierra said that Melissa was a little quiet, but overall seemed normal. And Sierra said her mood was because her mother seemed busy. Mark then contacted Sierra at 1:30 to ask his daughter if she was in contact with Melissa. When she said yes, he asked her if she could ask Melissa if she will pick him up from work or if he has to find a different ride. Sierra sent Melissa a screenshot of the message. Melissa allegedly had seen it, but she didn't reply, and that was the end of that. At 2:18, a family acquaintance observed Melissa walking eastbound on some kind of New Mexico road. She was seen by security cameras of a local business. She was wearing the same clothes she was earlier in the day. She had a backpack on, and the daughter believes that in the backpack there was a toothbrush, a hair iron, and some other personal items from the house. Melissa's family believes that she got into some kind of car after she was seen on the security cameras, and it's a possibility that's being investigated. Mark started calling Sierra around 2 p.m., but she couldn't pick up due to work. When she finally had a free moment, she noticed a frantic voicemail from Mark, and so Sierra tried to contact Melissa, but the messages weren't delivered. Sierra came home at 3:30. The main doors were closed. Melissa's car was in front of the house. Melissa's work phone and keys were on the table,
Dude, this is
as
hella
well as her
suspicious.
purse, personal phone, and wallet.
That's
And
like
both the
most
phones
of
had
them.
been wiped. So it sounds like she planned on going missing.
What?
Unless someone forced her to wipe her phone.
Both phones
I don't
have
know.
been wiped?
We're going to continue looking into this, but this is enough for me to say, yes, of
Suspicious.
course, suspicious.
Yes, of
We're going to mark
course.
it real quick. and go through this a little bit more. Melissa's disappearance was seen as unusual by her family. They had a family trip planned during the weekend. And this is the Reddit user's conclusion. So let's check it out. So the family believes that Melissa left on her own volition, which with the phones being wiped and specifically those things being left, her personal items. Yeah, I guess that.
Yeah, she was up to something. Not responding. She didn't show up to work, but she went to go see her daughter, so like she knew. This is hella suspicious.
Makes sense. Possibly due to stress. Allegedly, she had a tendency to bottle things up, in that she might have even lied about forgetting her badge in the morning as an excuse to like go home and be alone so she could go disappear, which is a good point. Because Mark said that he saw her with it when she drove him to work. Because that's how you get into the parking lot. So to drop him off at work, she swiped her ID to get into the parking lot. And Mark was with her when she did that. So Mark knew that she had her ID. And they believed that she was going through a huge amount of stress. And they didn't know about it at the time. But they don't specify what kind of trouble Melissa was in. And there's some kind of family dispute with the husband and the daughter. They're having some kind of family dispute with Melissa's side of the family. And so the family kind of thinks that Melissa was just under a lot of stress and went missing. And there's a $5,000 reward for information that leads to her safe return. My issue is, say she was under a lot of stress and just ran away, she would have shown up somewhere by now, but she hasn't. So I'm going to keep it marked as suspicious. Especially because she also worked at this the same lab that it was Anthony Chavez worked at. And there might have even been a third person that we haven't gotten to yet that also went missing or died that worked at this lab. Next up, we have Jason Thomas. So he went missing December 2025, and he was found dead March 2026. His body was recovered from water. Let's check this out. So he went missing for like 3 months before they found him. Okay, so he was a pharmaceutical researcher testing cancer treatments at Novartis, was found dead in a Massachusetts lake on March 17, 2026, after disappearing without a trace 3 months earlier. Tim Burchett, who's like some kind of politician who's been on this, has blasted the FBI for being unhelpful. And he's saying that the FBI is not looking into any links between all these scientists, and they should be, because the number's kind of high, 9 of them, which is kind of a lot.
Cash?
Let's see what we can find on Jason Thomas. Okay, so he was 45 when he disappeared December 12th, 2025, and he's the guy that was found dead in a lake in Massachusetts. As of March 16th, the medical examiner has not identified the cause of death, but there's no foul play suspected. Well, then how did he go missing and end up in a lake? Okay, there he is. He's married to another scientist. Oh, a former scientist. She's now an animal trainer. Just a lot of like filler about about their family and stuff. Okay, so they officially filed like a missing persons report December 13th, and it looks like they just never found him until March when they found him dead in a lake. And we're probably still going to need updates on this. This just happened about 2 weeks ago. This is kind of a recent one. And so it looks like they haven't really done an autopsy yet. Yeah, this is his obituary. I'm just checking it out real quick. So he vanished in the night, and then they just found him in a lake 3 months later. He was last seen around midnight, December 12th, in the area of the lake that they found him in. And the chief medical examiner is still working to conclusively determine the identity of the body they found. But they're pretty sure it's him. They just haven't confirmed it yet. Okay, I wish we had more information on this one. This one is still very much developing. And because of that, we'll keep it as suspicious. So until we get some more information, we're not going to rule it out, basically. That was number 6. Yeah. Number 7 is Nuno Loriero. Let's check it out. Okay, so Nuno is a physicist that got murdered at the age of 47 on December 15th, 2025. So that would have been like 3 days after this last guy went missing. Authorities said the gunman was Claudio Valente, a former classmate from Portugal. So I believe Claudio Valente might have been that school shooter. Let me check this out. Yeah, so this guy, Claudio Valente, shot up two schools. So he went to Brown
What?
University, shot like a student, and then he went over to MIT and he killed Nuno.
Yeah,
And Nuno
I
was
remember
a former
this.
classmate of his. This guy. They had
Weird.
taken some kind of class back in the day together. And so this Claudio guy killed him. This guy. So he was director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center. He died at 47. He worked for MIT for 10 years. And he's another scientist, and this guy's dead. And so I guess the conspiracy here is that this Claudio guy was like used as like a false flag shooting to go, I don't know. Maybe the Brown shooting was a distraction so he could run over to MIT and kill the real target, the scientist, the plasma scientist, Nuno. And then the guy who killed him killed himself, died by suicide. Yeah, here it is. Did the Brown shooter also kill the MIT professor? So U.S. Attorney for the District of Massachusetts confirmed that Valente is also believed to be responsible for the murder of Nuno Loriero, and he also did the Brown shooting, which is kind of crazy. And then he shot himself. Definitely putting this one as suspicious. I mean, this guy got murdered. The guy who murdered him killed himself, so we're never really going to find out exactly why he did that. But before he murdered the scientist, Nuno Loriero, he went and shot up another school, and he like killed a student. And then he runs over to MIT and shoots this guy, who's a plasma scientist. A little bit suspicious. Next, we have Carl Grillmer. He died this year, February 16th, 2026. Shot and killed at his home. Murdered on his front porch at the age of 67. He worked for Caltech. He was a researcher and was heavily supported by NASA's JPL. And that's where we have like three of the other people that have died or gone missing worked for the JPL. So he's like the fourth one with JPL ties to die or go missing. He was personally involved with major space telescope missions led by NASA. That's a picture of him right here on the right. Okay, let's see what else we can find on this guy. He's got a wiki. Makes finding sources of him a little bit easier. So he was a Canadian, but he worked for the California Institute of Technology as a research scientist. On Monday, February 16th, 2026, he was fatally shot on his porch in Llano, an unincorporated community in Antelope Valley. Shot at 6:10 a.m. That's a very early shooting. He was dead at the scene when paramedics arrived. He died from a single bullet wound to the torso. The suspect is Freddie Snyder, who was doing some kind of carjacking in the area. And this guy, Freddie Snyder, has a history of trespassing on Gilmer's property. And he had been reported to the police about a year before this guy got shot and died. And he was taken into custody and released after breaking into Gilmer's neighbor, the home of Gilmer's neighbor, on December 28th. Okay, so this one doesn't look like a conspiracy. We're going to mark it not suspicious. So this guy, according to the police, got shot by a guy who was doing carjackings in the area, who had broken into his neighbor's house in the past, and who had even been arrested and reported for breaking into Gilmer's property in the past. And he'd even been taken into custody and released, so he was back out on the streets. And he already most likely had beef with this Grillmer guy because Grillmer had reported him to the police.
I could see
so
why you would
it looks
mark it like that, but
he probably got mad and shot him. So I don't see that as a conspiracy here. And that's why we always go through and take a dive into all of the scientists, because you'll see articles that talk about the 9 scientists, but this one doesn't seem to be suspicious in my opinion. It just looks like it got grouped in there just because this guy did die, but I don't think there's like a conspiracy here. And you know, he's not the only one. The first 2 as well, we don't think there's a conspiracy, but that's really just because we couldn't find any good information on them. This guy, we can find a lot more information on it. It looks very clearly like some kind of, he just had a criminal neighbor that kept getting released from jail and ended up shooting him. That's a sad story we see happen more than it should. So this is the last guy, William Neal McCasland. He went missing February 27th, 2026. Former Air Force general, and they haven't found him yet. Let's see what the Daily Mail article says about him. So it was a high-profile disappearance of the retired Air Force General William Neal McCasland. And then let's see if we can find a source that talks more about him. Okay, missing retired Air Force General planned not to be found, wife told 911. Interesting. She said that he might have planned not to be found. He was last seen in Albuquerque, New Mexico. My husband's missing. It's been about 3 hours, and I have some indication that he must have planned not to be found. That's what his wife said to 911. He left his phone, he changed his clothes, and he left on foot. And law enforcement is concerned about him because he has medical issues. He was in charge of the Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, and he worked in various space research roles for the Air Force and National Reconnaissance Office. He previously commanded the Phillips Research Site at Kirkland Air Force Base in New Mexico, and that was before he went missing from his home in Albuquerque. Authorities say that he was having mental fog, which a conspiracy theorist might call that Havana syndrome or something. There's no indication that he was disoriented or confused. They're just saying that potentially could be a reason why he just walked off. But he's a very smart, a very intelligent person, and he's highly capable. The sheriff's office is working with the FBI on this one, and they're saying that after he disappeared, the sheriffs said that items linked to him, including a green button-up shirt and hiking boots, were found at his second home in Colorado. And his wallet, a .38 revolver, and a backpack are missing, so he might have that stuff on him. And then it just talks about how he's not the only scientist that has gone missing. So this one, again, they still haven't found him. It looks like he just got up, left, went to his second home in Colorado, maybe grabbed some things, and continued to be a missing person. I wish there was a little more information on it, but we will chalk it up to suspicious. Maybe if we do find more information, like he just wanted to go live in the woods or something, we'll change it in the future to not suspicious. But going off the information that we have now, it is suspicious. So
Yeah,
I guess
it
tell me
is.
what you think. These are the 9 people, the 9 U.S. scientists that are either missing or dead. Some of them look to have just, got caught up in, like, just got shot by a criminal, like it's unfortunate. But some of them look to have disappeared or died
coincidental.
under suspicious circumstances. And so, in my opinion,
The criminal's
who
a
knows what the
patsy.
conspiracy could be here? But when you have this, like this amount of missing scientists all going missing or dying within a relatively like short span of time,
Half of
even
them
if
related to
there's not a conspiracy
JPL.
with all of these scientists, there's something fishy is going on. So
Bruh, they are all suspicious. Maybe some not quite as much as others, but I'm chalking all 9 of those up to suspicion. Like, maybe you get one of them that's a coincidence, but you don't rock coincidences like that, guys. Half of them related to JPL, all of them related to science within the last few years, most of them within the last year. Um, Working together, like in many cases, or with missing within days. Half of them, car, wallet, keys, phone left behind. Chick disappears off the trail. Beanie gets found up on the ridge. Like, what are we talking about here? These are all suspicious, in my opinion. He put the first 2, like, I'll give him maybe the third one, but the first, no. These are all, this is something nefariously wrong going on. Put down in the comment section down below what you guys are thinking. I don't know what to think. Are any of these not suspicious to y'all? Down in the comments, if you think like any one of them is not suspicious, because overwhelmingly they all are suspicious. So I appreciate you guys stopping by and watching this little bit of videos with me. Something weird is going on. We need Elon on this or somebody like trying to figure this out, because this is strange. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you dropping by. I'm your Huckleberry. You can call me Huck. We'll see you in the next video. You're a daisy if you do. Peace!